If you're posting every week and not signing clients, it's not because the algorithm hates you, it's because your content isn't built to sell. I've generated over $4 million in the info space from posts that bring clients straight into my DMs with only 6K followers and without going viral once. And in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 biggest mistakes stopping your content from converting and how to fix each one so every post that you make helps you land more clients. So stick with me until the end, because if you're missing just one of these, you'll be stuck with content that gets views but no sales. All right, let's get into the video and the juicy stuff. So here's why your content isn't converting, and here's how to fix it so that you don't just get views, you get conversations, and more importantly, book calls and clients, because that's what we all want. The first reason that your content isn't converting is because you're speaking to the wrong audience. So here's the deal. If your content speaks to everyone, it's going to sell to no one, right? You attract followers who love free tips, but they never buy because you're not solving a specific high value problem defined for a very, very specific person, right? So a couple mistakes that I've worked with over 150 plus coaches, and I've seen that they, most of the time, 95% of the time when their content isn't converting that they're making is, number one, they're posting for followers and not buyers, right? Or they're chasing vanity metrics, like how many views and likes they get. The videos that have landed me over $30,000 in new cash are videos that have got 1,000 to 2,000 views. The truth is, your buyers make up a very small percentage of the market, so more views don't necessarily mean more sales. Or the third one, which is the most common one I see, is the ideal client profile is not defined clearly in the content. Like if I was to watch that specific video that you intended to use to land more clients as your ideal client, it probably wouldn't make sense to me. It probably wouldn't feel relevant to me, right? So I'm going to show you exactly how you can fix that. So number one, create an ICP matrix. This is just a fancy word for a document which has all the data that you need on your ideal client profile, their deepest pains, right? If you can't list 10 of the biggest pains of your ideal client profile from the top of your head, you don't know your ideal clients well enough, right? Hence, you don't deserve to attract them. So until you get that done, like pause the fucking video and go do that, you don't deserve your dream clients, right? Then their 10 biggest desires, their 10 biggest objections, and even specific language that they use. I know that most of my audience is anywhere between 25 to 35, right? I know they use words like yo. I know they use words like piff. I know they use words like yap. So all of this is written down in my ideal client profile doc, right? And I'll start to use these words in my content so that when my ideal client is watching my video, they can relate to me and they know they're speaking to the right person, right? So in the end of the day, you know, the thing that you want to understand is this makes your content feel more personal, right? It boosts trust. And the more trust that you have, the more money you're going to make in your marketplace, right? The next thing that you want to doubt in, and in a sec, I'm going to show you, your ICP matrix is literally the foundation and basis to creating all of your best content. The next thing you need to have is a micro niche filter, because if your content can help anyone, it's way too broad, right? Broad content brings in low intent views. Yes, it might get hundreds of thousands of views, but it's low intent views. Like it applies to everyone. So it's not that big of a deal, right? But narrow focus increases conversions. For example, if I made a post about socks getting lost in the washing machine, it's a very broad post. Everybody can relate to it. Everybody's had that happen to them. But is it going to attract clients? No. Is it relatable? Sure. Are people going to like it? Yes. Are people going to share it? Most likely. Is it going to land you clients? No. Right? If I make a post that says 3 ways I fill my sales calendar using my Instagram stories only, it's going to relate to a very, very, very specific audience, but people that are likely to buy, because it solves a very specific problem within their business. That's what I mean by a micro niche filter, right? So a good exercise for you to do is to audit your last 10 posts, because if you want reviewing data and information in your business, again, you don't deserve to scale your business. And you got to ask yourself, right? Would a ready to buy client care enough to DM you after watching those posts? And this is going to really help you take a hard look in the mirror and decide, like, you know what, maybe my content is crap. Maybe my content sucks and I need to change it. And that would be a good realization to reach to, because it's going to land you more clients and make you more money, right? Another thing that you can do is use test content. What I mean by that is I'm constantly testing. The best marketers I've spoken to in this space that make way more fucking money than I do, $500K to $1 million a month, they all have one thing in common, and it's that they're constantly testing, right? Post niche posts, right? What I mean by that is specific posts around people's pain points, see who engages, and then double down on the ones that get you the most engagement, meaning DMs, meaning comments, meaning people that are coming to your profile as new followers that are qualified as your ideal clients. I'll give you a perfect example, right? If I'm in the fitness niche and this entire time I've been posting my personal gym workout routine and it's not targeting a specific enough pain point of my ideal clients, and it's just been getting a bunch of views but no clients, I might test out 5 different pain points, from fat loss to knowing what to eat with my diet, to knowing what to train, to knowing what times of the day are best to train, to knowing the best sleep, optimal recovery format for my clients. And then I will turn those into posts. So here's why your diet completely sucks. If you struggle to get a good 8 hours of sleep, try these 2 supplements. And I'll try posts like this to see who engages and who I tend to attract. With that test of content, once I test those 5 pain points, I might realize that one of them work better than the others. So I might start to double down on that format or that style of content. But you constantly want to be auditing. If you're consistently most people in this space are completely broken, right? They go out there and they think if I'm just consistently working, then I'll make a lot of money. But that's not true. If you're consistently doing the wrong thing, you're going to consistently get the wrong result. But if you consistently tweak to find what the right thing is, then you know what to consistently do that's actually going to get you results. Okay. So a massive pro tip that's helped me out is I use polls and story questions to find my hidden audience's pain points before creating posts, right? So that's going to turn passive viewers, people that are just scrolling on your stories, into actual warm leads. I'll give you an example. You can easily post a poll. Do this today. DM me on Instagram and tell me how it panned out for you. I'd love to hear from you. But create a story poll which says, if you are struggling to lose weight, what is the biggest things that you particularly struggle with? If that's your niche, right? If it's not your niche, don't do that post. You're an idiot if you do. Okay. And then based on what everybody kind of breaks down, you can turn those turn those responses into content ideas. Very simple, because again, you're not guessing at this point. You're using data from the marketplace. So only and only once that you've dialed in your audience, you then want to move on to stage 2 to fixing your content to land more clients, which is clear offer connection. Every time I sit with my clients, I always tell them bad content is a symptom of bad offer clarity. If you don't understand your offer inside and out, your content is also going to suck, right? Because the truth is, your content is a reflection of your offer, right? Because ultimately, if you want to feed people into your offer, then your content needs to go out there and find problems and talk about problems that your offer can solve. Simple as that, right? So if people can't see the link between your content and offer, they'll enjoy your posts, but they'll never think of you when they're ready to buy. You become the free tips account, right? Instead of the go-to solution. And I'll give you a perfect example. If I sat there and made fitness content again about my gym routine, my day in the life and crap, stuff like that, yes, people will know I'm a fitness guy, but will they know that I can help them overcome a specific problem? No. But if all my content is about, here's why your diet sucks, here's why your sleep sucks, here's why your recovery sucks, here's why you can't lift heavier, blah, 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 I'm focusing on problem, because I'm sharing my expertise on that specific problem and how I've helped other people with that specific problem, how I've helped myself, how I can fix that problem for complete strangers. They think of me. Every time they think of poor sleep, every time they think of poor recovery, they think of me, right? It's the same stuff. So if you don't do that, your content is going to entertain, but it doesn't point to your offer, right? There's no visible link between what you post and what you sell, which is exactly what you want to create a link between. That's why I have 6,000 followers. Yeah, I generate well over $30,000 to $50,000 every single week without fail, because I have this stuff dialed in, right? So the things that you want to do to fix the problem is, number 1, reverse engineer your offer's transformation. Break it down into micro topics. This is going to help you ensure that every post that you build, right, makes people desire the outcome that you sell, right? And you can even subtly mention your offer in 80% of your posts. When I help clients, a good hook would be, after coaching 150 clients, the biggest thing that they struggle with when it comes to fat loss is X. Now people know that you're the authority, you help solve that problem, and you subtly mentioned it. It's not like a in-your-face sales pitch. It's a subtle sales pitch, right? You can also show behind the scenes and stuff like that. But what I want to share with you that's far more important is an example of breaking down your offer into micro topics for your piece of content. So a perfect example is, let's say I have a high-ticket sales coaching offer, which I do, right? If you struggle with that, need help, book a call below. I'll help you with this stuff more in depth, more personalized and tailored to your business. All right. So let's say The offer is I help coaches start at 10K a month, scale to 50K a month in 90 days using my client conversion accelerator system, unique method, right? Identify the transformation. That's step one, right? Your clients are coaches that are stuck at 10K a month. They have inconsistent clients. They're working long hours. And the end point that they want to reach is consistently coach at 50K a month. They want predictable clients and more freedom. You guys watching the video might sound like that, right? You know who to call for help. So step two is break down the transformation into micro topics, right? Mindset and beliefs. So what are certain beliefs that your audience hold about scaling to 50K a month? Is it, I need to be posting daily? Is it, I need a very high close rate? And then break down those beliefs into content, right? So easily you could turn this into a post. Having a 50% close rate is actually the worst thing that you can do to your business. It's a controversial hook based on a pain point. And now because you talk about helping people lower their close rate in your offer, but make more money per client, you know, they're going to come to you for help. There's a clear link between your content and your offer. Making sense so far? I hope so. So another subtopic could be lead generation, right? And you could break that down. So 3 DM mistakes that are keeping you stuck at 10K a month. How I generate 30 qualified leads a week without ads. These are all hooks that are coming from directly your ideal client's pain point and exactly what your offer is. So that way you have a link between your offer and content. If you don't have that, then you're going to massively, massively struggle to go out there and land clients. Okay. So once you have a clear connection between your offer and your content, the next things that you need is you need to dial in your hooks, because you can have the best content in the world. If you can't hook someone within the first 3 seconds to watch the rest of the thing, none of it matters, right? So, you know, here's a bunch of crappy hooks that you want to avoid. 3 tips for blah, 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 blah. Nobody wants to watch a video like that. It's boring. It's very 2012. They used to work, but it doesn't work anymore, right? Lead with pain, results, or controversy. If you know you have a good hook when you tick one of these 3 boxes, right? So, for example, right? And you can test 3 to 5 different hooks. So one of the things that me and my editors work on together is we go into trial reels. Whenever I record that piece of content, I'll just record 3 separate hooks for it. It's the same video. We'll post it as trial reels. And then whichever one performs the best, we'll use it on the main page, right? It's an absolute cheat code. Test it out. It's a little bit longer to do, but if you really care about scaling your business, you will do the work that's necessary. Okay. So use proven hook formulas, right? So pain plus a twist, right? So most people think that they should be posting daily. Posting daily is what's keeping you broke, right? Now people are like, that's interesting. I was told to post daily. This goes against the grain. I want to watch this video, right? Bold result. Here's how we scale to 50K a month with no ads. Here's how we scale to X desired outcome without X pain point. Most people don't want to scale with ads. Ads are good if you know how to script them correctly, right? Or enemy call out. You don't build an army unless you have enemies, right? You don't make enemies without building an army. So if you look at the top 1% of marketers, what do they all have in common? They all have a common enemy in place. So gurus are giving you this horrible advice that's keeping you stuck. Well, the worst advice that I've ever heard in the coaching space, when you lead with negative hooks, you're more likely to grab attention, right? If I called you a fat fuck, right, versus me saying, hey man, you're a great guy, which one would you pay more attention to? The first one, because it's a negative. The human brain is prehistorically wired to pay attention to negatives. When we were cavemen and there was plants that could destroy us, there was people chasing us and dinosaurs and stuff like that. The point of the matter is the human brain is wired to want to run away from pain. So the minute we hear pain, we are psychologically wired to listen up, right? That's why negative hooks work really, really well. So once you have your hooks and your messaging on point, none of that's going to work unless you have good stories of your clients and proof. Because without proof, your content is just theory. It's just your opinion. No one cares about what your opinion is. People care about proof. And people, most importantly, buy when they can picture themselves getting the same result as yourself or your clients have achieved. So what you want to do to really make sure that you're incorporating this in your content so that you can land more clients is show proof pillars, right? So in my business, I constantly leverage client results. Like if you follow me on Instagram, you can check out in the description. I literally post my client results every single other day, right? If not every day, every other day. So I leverage client results and not just talking about their results, but where they were before achieving these results, what common pain points they were experiencing that I know my ideal clients are experiencing, right? What we did to help them fix that process and so on and so forth, right? You can even share your results, your process, social proof, because all these things in combination build credibility way faster than claims, right? Everybody makes promises. Very little people have proof to back it up. So if you have proof and you're not leveraging it almost every single day or every single week, you're going to lose clients and you're going to create a bunch of content that gets views, but no sales, right? You can also share like failures to lessons to wins, right? That relatability plus transformation makes the results feel achievable. So for example, when I was stuck at 10K a month, it sucked. I was overworked. It was a failure. I built the business to get more freedom. I was trapped. I didn't have more freedom. I was working 80 plus hours a week. I was burnt out. I didn't have a team. That's a failure. The lesson that I learned is being stuck at 10K a month completely sucks, right? And working harder didn't make more money. It was actually working less. And once I discovered this new lesson, it helped me work strategically on my business to scale up, right? And the wins have been over $4 million cash collected in the info space and so on and so forth. And that lesson or that framework, failure, lesson, win, relates to my ideal clients. Now, most people that are stuck at 10K a month can be like, I can relate to that. This guy knows what he's doing. He's achieved the result I want. Maybe he can also help me do it for me, right? And you can use that format industry-wide, whether you're a mindset coach, dating coach, fitness coach, it doesn't matter. It works, right? I like to use a lot of visual receipts, right? Screenshots, befores, afters, dashboards, Stripe, PayPal, doesn't matter. Use the evidence because it makes the results undeniable, right? And, pair every claim with like a mini case study. Context makes the numbers believable and persuasive. So an example, I posted a story sequence on my story a few weeks back. It's actually 16 weeks ago. But I pretty much shared the sales call for my clients, Mike and Lucas, right? And they were stuck at a stage where they literally said to me, we can't even drop the money to work with you right now, right? And back then I was charging about 10K. 3 months later, they actually did sign up with me. They did start working with me, even though they didn't have the money. And they were able to make over 15.5K in a single day, not in a month, right? And I pretty much shared the call of how I was proud of these guys, shared their tangible results from my school community and, the screenshots from their PayPal and their payment processor and bank. And then I made a simple call to action, which is like, hey, if you're an agency owner struggling to scale your business to 20 to 50K a month, I've shown you a bunch of proof that I can actually help you. Let me know if you're ready to scale. And I got a bunch of people that messaged me, DM me, booked in a call. Again, I only have 6,000 followers on Instagram, yet the strategies I'm sharing with you absolutely fucking print. So it's that fucking simple. But once you have the story sequences in place, none of that matters unless you're making call to actions. If you don't tell people to take the next step, they're going to do nothing, right? You're going to lose warm leads simply because you didn't guide them, right? And I'll give you a perfect example of this. When I was hosting my very first mastermind last year, tickets were fucking cheap. We had a 2-day experience with a yacht, 2 incredible guest speakers. I flew out Devin Jatho, if you guys know who he is, king of short form content, and Lyndon Chastain, who's grown multiple YouTube channels for people like Ty Lopez and stuff like that. So I flew them out. It was only a 3K offer, but I wasn't making enough call to actions. I was pretty much just posting a story once a week, hoping that people would show up. And when I realized I wasn't making enough call to actions was when I sat down with one of my very close friends and I said, hey man, I'm doing a mastermind. He said, oh yeah, you're doing a mastermind. What was the date again? I was like, I've been posting about this once a week. Like the guy watches all my stories. How does he not know what the date is? And that made me realize that I just wasn't making enough call to actions. So I went away. I made a call to action pretty much every single day. And I sold out the mastermind. We had 10 spaces initially because it was my first one. We ended up selling 15 tickets purely because of making more call to actions. So if you aren't signing the clients that you want, if you are not making the money that you want, take a look at how many offers you're actually making per day, per week. Just track that one number, right? And if you can just double or triple that number, I promise you, you're going to make way more money than you're currently making right now. All right. So finally, with everything concluded, right? The final fix to combine everything together is high converting content needs to follow a very predictable flow. Okay. The right audience is going to see an offer linked topic delivered with a strong hook and backed by proof and finish with a clear call to action. This sequence is going to help you take complete strangers who don't know who you are, grab their attention, turn it into an interest, and then action. Okay? If you can just master the things I'm sharing with you right now, you're going to make significantly more money with posting just the same amount of content that you're doing, or even less content than you're posting right now. Okay? So make sure you track the key metrics as well. Convo started, DMs, book calls, sales per post. These things are very important, because if you're just posting without tracking, you're just throwing shit at the wall, hoping it sticks. It's never going to stick unless it's hard shit. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, you want to track your key metrics. That way you know what's working and you know what to double down on. Kill underperformers extremely fast. Typically, I do 3 to 5 posts on like one style of things. And if it doesn't work, I'll just cut it. I'll look as a loss and I'll be like, all right, cool. Here's one more thing that doesn't work. That's going to lead me a step closer to what actually works, right? And then double down on the top 20% performers, right? So whatever works, you can even repost that content 2-3 months later. I was having a conversation with one of my good friends who has 900,000 followers on TikTok. He has over 180,000 subs on YouTube. He's a content guy, right? And I asked him, like, he asked me, he's like, how many times a day do you post? I'm like, a day. I post like 3 times a week. He's like, what? You post 3 times a week and make the amount that you do? I was like, yeah. And he goes, I was like, what about you? He goes, 3 times a day. And I was like, that's a lot of fucking posts. And he goes, well, what I do is I take my top performers that made me sales, that got me clients, I put them in a folder, and then a month later, I'll repost the same video. And he showed me all the videos, and they still got the same amount of views, if not more, generating leads and sales. So the truth of the matter is, you can repurpose some of your best performing piece of content. I know there's algorithm gurus that are going to tell you different. I'm here to tell you from experience, it works. Just do it and double down on the high performing videos. If you need help with any of the stuff I mentioned, book in a call below. I can audit your business and show you the easiest and fastest way to scale to 30 to 50K a month plus and smack out your revenue goals.